everybody, and welcome to the eSkilled webinar on Beyond ADDIE, using AI to accelerate the instructional design lifecycle. I thought I would start out by doing a bit of a poll while people are still joining the meeting. I thought we would start with a couple of quick questions. We'll get into housekeeping once we're finished with the polls. Do you work for a registered training organisation? I assume we're going to get mostly Australian RTOs here, but you know. Might give this one another 20 or so seconds. As we're joining, we're just doing some polls before people, while people are joining the meeting, and then we'll get started as soon as we're done with that. I'm going to hit end on this and share some results. Last couple of seconds. So that's the first poll ended. Do you work for a training organization? About 77% yes, 23% no. So we still have some people outside of the vet space, which is interesting. Next one. How long have you been creating courses? Lots of experienced minds here. Experienced creators. Looking at the list, I can see if you recognize a few names. Give it about another 20 seconds. All right, welcome everyone. We're just doing some polls before we get started. I'm going to hit finish on this one, and we'll do one more. Last couple of seconds. Okay. So how long have you been creating courses? A good 30%, 35% of people have been doing it for more than 5 years. So that's very interesting. Okay, next one. So specialized for this demo, this meeting. Interesting. Okay, well, that's good because we're going to do a little bit of an introduction to ADDIE. It looks like most of the people voting here are voting no. Give it another 20 more seconds, and then we'll get a start on the session. Looks like we got a good turnout. Interesting. All right, last couple of seconds. So are you currently using ADDIE to create content? Looks like a good 70% of people are doing that. All right. So let's get a start. So firstly, I would like to do some housekeeping. You'll notice up in the top right-hand corner, there's a little question bubble, a question mark inside of a text bubble that you can use that to ask me any questions as we go. I'll try and answer as we go. If I don't get to all of them, well, I'm happy to, answer them later. But we should get through all of that. I have a good sort of structure of a meeting today. Obviously, we're not going to be able to go into all elements of what ADDIE is and how you can use AI with ADDIE. But what I will do is concentrate a lot of the session on developing courses using our AI course creator. And that'll give you a whole lot of, that'll be a big cut down to the life cycle using AI. And I'll sort of give you maybe a few little pointers outside of that. So hopefully that'll give, an increased or improved development time on your output of your course content. So firstly, who am I? So my name's Mark Cesare. I work for eSkilled as a development manager. I mainly work in the student and learning management system space, but I've been doing these AI course creator demos for last year, and also, very familiar with this this product. So feel free to ask me any questions about that. All right, let's move on. So what are we going to cover in the session? So firstly, okay, sorry, I have a question from Eric about audio. Can everyone else hear my audio, or is it Eric or, okay, so I have, mostly everyone can hear the audio, Eric, so it must be something to do with your connection. Thank you, everyone, for filling in there. So firstly, what is ADDIE? Why would we use ADDIE, and how can we use ADDIE to enhance, how can we enhance ADDIE using AI? What is AI Course Creator and how is it different from other systems out there? We'll do a practical demo of the AI Course Creator as part of this demo as well. Pricing for that, so you can go in and do some trials as well. I might even throw in a discount code for everyone. So if you want to join, feedback and questions. All right. So firstly, what is ADDIE? Should we use it considering new tools available? So obviously everyone's very keen on hearing about how AI can help them. AI is a very, very powerful tool that can do a whole lot of grunt work for your RTO or for your organization that wants to deliver training. So firstly, ADDIE it's a traditional framework for building course content. So which is why it's interesting. Should we use it, right? Is a big question. And I think the answer is absolutely yes. The traditional framework still will work in today's world, and it should absolutely be used, because often you can use tools and it can create really horrible content. So it's very important to use the ADDIE framework. And what it involves is an analysis of what you need to build, a design of that, design, development, implementation, and evaluation of the course content that you create. So firstly, you start with analyzing who your people are, what sort of, who your learners are, what sort of, what do you need to map to, frameworks, that sort of thing. Design, development, often sort of coexists in its own little space. You can design and develop at the same time. Obviously, AI helps with with all of these elements of ADDIE. Implementation and evaluation. So that's sort of what the ADDIE framework consists of. The next thing is, how is it possible to combine AI and ADDIE using the AI benefits with new technology of, with our AI tools? So ADDIE gives us the framework, the AI does the grunt work. Essentially, that's the benefit here. So how can AI enhance the ADDIE framework? And why and how does the use of AI for instructional best practice? So step one, ADDIE analysis and design. So you got to define the requirements, define your students, your learner profile. Now in Australia, that's the ACSF framework, but obviously Australian Core Skills framework. You can use AI to understand the requirements of your courses as well. You can use AI to determine learner profiles based on your unit codes if you're in Australia, but obviously course codes depending on what course you're developing. How can I develop a strategy? These are things that absolutely can be questions in the AI. The trick to this is prompting well. You need to prompt using documents, using uploads as much as possible. And then of course mapping, very important part of delivery, mapping to the requirements of the course you're delivering. Step two, development acceleration. So AI can be used to generate course content, and with our tool that I'll show you in a minute, you'll see how powerful that can be. You can, once you've analyzed the information that you need to adhere to, you can use those analysis points to feed our AI course creator or any other tool that you use, and it will do a very good job of drafting learner content in like a basic form. Obviously you would come in and edit that content, but it's the starting point of a really good output. It's very good with scenarios, case studies, practical examples, very good with that. And then of course activities. What activities do I need to adhere to? So yeah. The next thing is human validation. So you can't just develop using AI. You need to validate what you put into the tool firstly, and evaluate. Once you've got an output, it's very important to evaluate that output, and that comes into the end of the ADDIE framework. But I would certainly suggest at step three to make sure that all the tool that you've developed. So Sahar, if you have, we have a question. Sahar, if you want to ask a question, feel free to jump into the little question mark bubble on the top right hand corner and type in your question. Oh, you can't hear either, Sahir. Okay, apologies. You might, so I've asked the question earlier if everyone could hear, and it seems like most can, so it may be something to do with your system. So apologies. If you want to, maybe just jump out and jump back in, might help. All right, so coming back to this, human validation. So make sure you check the content that you input into this tool, but also the content that it produces. So it's very important to do that. And of course, assessment quality, that's at the end of this. So in terms of what this course creator will do, it'll create the content, practical examples, case studies, and some formative assessment tasks. It's not going to give you your summative assessments. Oh, you got it. Thanks. Good work here. All right. So you will still need to create your summative assessments. And of course, you can certainly use AI to check and evaluate those assessments that you create. Step 4 is to implement an implementation and evaluation. So that's the end of the ADDIE framework. So you can use AI to deliver. So in terms of validation, moderation, etc. Certainly helps with marking. Marking if you have the right tools. We have a learning management system that has an AI tool that will help with that as well. You can also use AI to analyze and compare what you've produced with the documents, with the mapping, with the with all of those. So it's a very important part of what I wanted to show you today. That being said, the major part of what we're delivering is about AI Course Creator. So that's the next step. So what is AI Course Creator and how is it different? So it's an incredible AI-powered authoring tool. Obviously very user-friendly. It helps with AI-assisted editing. How are we different? Is that we're trained by an instructional design team. So we've actually been creating content at eSkilled, for many, many years. You may have heard of brands like Compliant Learning Resources, Precision, Total Vet. They're our brands. So we've been doing this for a while. We used our tool. We used our to train our tool. We've used our instructional design team. Very important. We use a tell, show, do methodology. So provide content, practical examples, case studies, or scenarios, and the do is a formative assessment task. So you'll certainly have other formative assessment tasks and summative assessments outside of this tool if you are producing content. It has beautiful and custom themes. So you can actually create your own custom themes. You can edit the themes that are there. There's a whole lot of tools in terms of how you develop how it looks. So you can certainly do that. It will structure the course with images and flip cards built directly into the overall design. So in terms of how you when it produces an output, it's not just producing you text anymore. It's giving you images. It's referencing those images in the overall design as well. So it gets you a good portion of the way there. I'm not suggesting that it is going to be a complete solution, and this is why we wanted to bring in the ADDIE framework here, because it's important when you're developing courses that you're not just using this AI tool. You're prompting it the right way and you're analyzing it afterwards. It's very important to have human input as well as AI input in this space, right? So very important. And then the last thing here is that the AI course creator publishes it into any LMS via SCORM output or integrates or links via AI, via LTI. So learner technology interoperability. So like any systems that utilize LTI in their LMS, you'll be able to use it here. So essentially it's a bit of content. It's not an LMS. This system is not an LMS. It is an authoring tool only. Let's see it in action. First, so when you log in, you will log into your own portal. So in terms of security, all of that, it's very important to understand that you have your own portal. What you put into your own portal is your own content. Even what you generate using the AI tool will be your own content that you generate. It's using our tool to pull content, but it's your content that it's producing, right? So you are the ones that are responsible for what comes out of it. That being said, it'll get you a long way off the way there. All right. So firstly, if we go to create a course, you just click this create a course button here. Now I've already created a course and I'm using the same prompt, so I can just do the whole, here's one I prepared earlier. But just know that we're going to hit generate anyway. So you'll see that it will produce every time you generate, it'll produce a different output. That being said, it'll relate to it's using the same text. So it'll be only slightly different. All right. So firstly, when I jump in create content, the first step is putting in a name of the course. Now, of course, the name is going to be what you search for when you're in the portal, when you're looking at the courses. So it's an important part of this. So just put the name in, describe your course audience, student. So in my scenario here, I've put in students completing a Cert 3 in beekeeping who live and work in far north Queensland, right? I haven't put an ACS level because in the next stage, you'll have the the reading levels here, but you can certainly put in some extra, context in your course audience. Very important. And that's another big important point here is context. Context, when you analyze the learners that you're delivering to, obviously you then want the context to relate to those learners that you're delivering to. So this is going to help with that, right? So yep, Cert 3 in beekeeping. This is the course in detail as part of a Cert 3 in beekeeping. All I've done here, just know that you can add in, you can be as descriptive as you like here. Just know you don't want it to contradict anything. No, when you're using the AI tool, it's very important to continue to back up everything you say through the whole course. I've put Cert 3 in beekeeping, Cert 3 in beekeeping here. I've put Far North Queensland here, and I'll put in the next page Far North Queensland again. So we're going to back up everything we say. And any documents we add should also back up anything we've prompted. Otherwise AI will do a hallucination, and we don't want that. So to get the best output, it's important to structure what you're putting into it. So what I've done here is I've attached one file. It's just literally the unit of competency from training.gov. But just know you can attach all sorts of in here. So and unit of competency, curriculum documents, learner resources. I have a client that uses their PowerPoints that when they deliver content, they are using a PowerPoint. They wanted to turn it into an e-learning file and flesh out the PowerPoints. Obviously, when you talk to a PowerPoint and you've got text on a PowerPoint, you're not going to have the full text. You're only going to have like a title of each section. So it'll structure the document, but it'll generate the coursework for that structured text. Very important. Student handbooks, policies and procedures, industry-specific standards, legislation. You can put all sorts of things in here, right? Other is just anything, right? Anything that's in a Word or a PowerPoint document, right? So PDF, PowerPoint, Word or PDF document. If you're putting a PowerPoint in, you'd want to print it to PDF first and upload it. So yeah, that's that. So I've put the unit in already. And it's used only a few characters. Obviously, you get 500,000 characters here, which is a limitation, but a fairly large one. Next thing, select your course depth and breadth, reading level, language, tone of voice. So this is context, right? It's going to give you contextual consideration. So every time, all that analysis that you've done, you need it to feed into something so that it's not just generating a very generic course. You want it to be very specific to the learner. You want it to be very specific to the course that you're delivering to. So step 2 is how much. First thing here is how much text do you want. Comprehensive is like a lot of text. If you need a lot of text, obviously it's going to be relevant to the unit or the course that you're delivering, but comprehensive is going to give you a lot of an output. I'm going to do standard here because I think a lot of beekeeping is very practical, so we want to leave the theory work to be as short as we can. Reading level, difficult is university graduate level language, right? Very easy as a 5-year-old. So only one thing I would note here is probably lower it because it's a reading age. So lower by comparison to what you're thinking, just because the majority of people in your course might be a certain reading level, but you want to adhere to everyone that's in your course, right? So I've put standard here just for this point. If you put the little mouse over the question mark bubble, it'll give you some pointers. Just know it's reading age, not actual age. So you wouldn't be doing difficult for everyone because 18 plus is not, is more complex language. The next thing is language. So we have up to 96 different languages here. So you can certainly put in whatever language you want. I know that, certainly Mandarin, there's lots of choice here in terms of language. Tone of voice. So tone of voice is the tone of the language that's being used, right? So it's obviously not a voice, voice to text thing. What this is a tone of the language that they're using, right? So I've put profession in here, but you can do casual, excited, encouraging are really good options here as well. Country context, very, very important. Like I was working with some instructional designers from New Zealand, and they were doing retail courses for New Zealand, non-accredited retail courses, and it brought in cultural greetings from New Zealand. So really important. Country context is key here because different countries, read things differently than others. So it's an important step here. And then other contextual considerations, I've just put in this one, all case studies refer to Far North Queensland. Other contextual considerations is really handy when you're trying to tailor your show part of the structure here. But it'll also work with content as well, the content that it produces. So you can do, like if I, hold on, you can do things like cultural, social, economic, political considerations, legal, regulatory, environmental, industry context is a big one. You want to put in the industry that you're working with. I don't know how many courses, in terms of course context, really important, if you purchase content, you're purchasing a generic content that could be for anything. But if you're talking about business courses, for instance, there's some units are available in 12, 13 different qualifications, right? So different context is really relevant based on the industry that you're working with. That's key here. So you can put that in here. Obviously beekeeping is a pretty standardized industry, so it is relevant, but you can certainly put in anything there. It'll give you some extra considerations. So the last step here is, or the step 3 here is how we sort of design the course settings. Category is sort of more associated with like something so you can search it up when you're going to filter by category. It's different to a folder structure. It's a course category structure. So you'll need to put in a category there. Topic navigation, free or linear. Linear just means it's got to progress in the order. If you use if anyone's used SCORM before, you want it to progress in an order generally. I'm doing free for this tool because I want to show you all the subtopics and I don't want to have to flip through so you can first in a ordered fashion instead of just going to any topic they want. We're going to include videos here. What this will do is search YouTube for content that was going to be relevant for that particular subtopic. We're going to include images. So it's going to generate AI generated images of all the content. It's going to do diagrams and flowcharts, all sorts of things. They're very important there. Add learner objectives. So that's just a title page with what's in each topic. And then we're obviously going to include case studies because that's an important part. Now, the theme here is which you can completely customize that. And I'll go into once I generate here. You can see. But yeah, we give you a bunch by default, but you can choose whichever theme you like. Choose this one for this for now, but you can certainly choose whichever theme you like. Next step. The last step is formative quiz, right? Formative assessment, very important part here. So those who don't understand what formative and summative assessments are, formative assessments are the tasks that you do or the learning or the quizzes or the things that you do prior to actually doing a summative assessment. It's going to actually be representative of the mark of the course, right? Summative means that like when you might have to do knowledge quizzes, you might have to do practical assessment tasks. They all are a sum. Some of those will give you a result for the course, right? So a formative assessment task is a pre-work. So determining if you've read the topics, read the information, so that you can move on and know that you understand what's been written. Right, so it's a very important part of delivery, and it's something that SCORM has been cracking down on. So if you are doing Australian delivery, look at formative assessment tasks and extra ones if you can. Right. So I'm going to do a combination of true or false, single, multiple choice, fill in the blanks, and matching. So you get a lot of different options in terms of quiz functionality. You'll probably get one of each in each topic, each subtopic. Sorry. These are just sort of menu items here. And if I hit quick generate here, what the AI bot is going to do is first step is it's going to generate you an outline for the course. I think when you're utilizing AI to generate this sort of work, it's a very important step because you don't want it to generate on the wrong thing. And often when you're using any sort of standardized tools, and you will use them as part of, working with this, with using AI to use ADDIE. When you're using the standardized tools, um, it often means that you have to regenerate, and that can cost you a lot of money. So when you're using credits, when this system is going to cost you money to generate, we want to make sure that you get the best output. So we've put in like an extra step so that it'll firstly generate the topics, and then it'll structure the full course or the content for the course. So this is a place where you can edit that content and edit what you want to see there, add in topics you might not see just in as a standard output. Okay, so let's quickly jump into themes and how that works. No questions so far. Do we have any questions on any of that? We move on. I think we're good. Feel free to ask them as we go. So themes. So obviously you get these set themes in here. We give you a whole lot of options for themes. You can edit those themes if you choose, or you can create your own. Like if I just come in and edit winter, you'll note that obviously we've got a theme name, is an active theme style. There's 6 different styles that you can choose from. Sort of how does the front cover work of the course? Where's the start button? What does it look like? And then the other thing that the theme style will control is the completion page as well. But that's mainly all the theme style chooses. Cover page, what do you want the text to say? Note that this is going to automatically generate. So this is sort of a just for what you can see when you're choosing the theme, but just know that when you generate courses, the front cover image is going to change every single time, right? Based on what you put in there. Completion page, obviously, there's some pretty generic completion pages in here. So if you're editing themes, I would definitely get you to edit the completion images. You can certainly use AI to do that. You can, create some nice stuff there. Banners. So we got the top banners. We got banner within the text. You've got icons. That's all here. Now icons. There's default icons that you can select between, or you can add your own icons in there. You can do colors or backgrounds. Yeah. So pretty cool structure there. Course build. So this is where the sort of information, where everything is going. We're going to choose theme things, right? So fonts, images, table settings, interactive activities. So what's the hotspot going to look like? The flip card's going to look like? What's the step-by-step's going to look like? All that. Content padding settings. So what sort of space do you need between the sections? And then call to action buttons, right? So that's that. And then course preview. So that'll be the top left-hand corner of for your topics. Sorry, the left-hand side for your topics and your navigation menus, course headings. So that's the top left, and topics. So banners, course headings, navigation menus, right? So that's the last how you customize the themes. Just know you can use your own fonts and colors and logos, and it has color pickers and everything. So it goes quite a lot of detail in terms of theme. Yeah. All right, let's have a look at where that. We've got a and you'll notice on the top. Oh, sorry, I think things dropped off for a second. Apologies, guys. Hold on. Do we still have a raised hand here? Oh no, it's a heart. That was from before. You'll notice top left-hand corner. You've got a include images checker, and you've also got the estimated generation credits that it uses. Okay. You'll notice that with images, I've actually gone above the tier 1 option, which I'll explain later. The tier 1 option per month. You'll see that. And then without images, obviously, it's a lot less because AI is generating these images. You'll note that with the image gen, we use the Nano Banana Google image gen just for the images. Obviously, different tools use different AI components, but you'll see that. So yeah, it does a really good job of choosing your topic. And if I was to hit generate here, so you can also, by the way, at both stages here, there was an orange button where you can create things manually. So if you don't want to use the AI, or you've used up all your credits and you just want to use the tool to create things yourself, copy and paste text in, you can do that here as well. But what we're going to do is hit quick generate by AI. This is going to take about 10 minutes or so, noting there's about 30 something topics there. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention while we're waiting for some of this stuff, I'll go into editing in a minute, but I just wanted to touch on the fact that when I go create a course, there's two options. I've often create, right? But the second option is document conversion. So if you have learned and you're actually really happy with the text of it, and you just want to turn it into an e-learning file, you can just go document conversion, and it will convert it, which is a really, really awesome way to generate content that you have via paper into an e-learning file. Right, so really handy. Just for context, when that happens, this is the sort of output that you get. Right, obviously you remove unit of competency here. You remove some of the outlines here. But yeah, this is sort of how it looks. You'll notice it brings in your pictures. It'll convert any links that you have, YouTube links, it'll convert into video content. Yeah, requires a little bit of cleanup, but essentially it's doing a really good job. The AI is actually being used to structure the course rather than to generate the text of the course. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. That's another part of this. Our little E cooking. So we're generating the outline, it was painting, and now we're cooking, and then when we do the editing, we'll be gardening. So we've got lots of cool little icons. Yeah, pretty cool. Thought I would show you. So I used that all those exact same prompts, and it generated me this course here. 18 hours, 18.89 hours of completion time for a unit of competency. I think that's a pretty accurate depiction of knowledge assessment in that sort of unit. Notice that I jump in here. Oh, keep losing my view. Are you guys all seeing that? Yep. Okay. Right now I'm in edit mode, and I seem to be having trouble with my demo, not the account, my reception. So it might be an Apologies, guys. What I've thought I would do is show you the direct output. So I haven't edited anything from that course, right? And I thought I would show you a pre-one essentially. This is what it produces with no output, right? But of course, we would require you to go in and review what's here and edit things. Generated imaging, learner objectives, little accordions, flip cards. Yeah, that's just normal output with no guidance or whatsoever. So other than what I've put in so far, it gets you a long way of the way there without. But I would recommend that when you're using these tools, that you prompt it with even more effort than I have, right? And you'll be very surprised at the results. My quizzes even look nice. Good job. Videos, diagrams. So yes, of course it requires input because not everything here is going to be perfect. So let's look at how that works, right? So hopefully it's right. So what we're going to do here is add in a few elements that are going to make this even better, right? So firstly, I want to use, I like this bit of text. So I want to use AI to edit it. So what I'm going to do, there's a bunch of options here, by the way. I could expand that text by just clicking. I can bullet point, summarize. There's a prompt in it. So that text, I like that text, and this is why I don't like it. I can put in a prompt and it will edit the text. Text to speech, that will create a text to audio file. So basically it'll read out that text using AI, and I'm going to actually show you that because I think that's really important. And then text to image. I want an image of this. Give me an image of it. It'll generate it using AI. Anywhere where you see these little stars, it's using AI to generate. So firstly, it's used a whole lot of credits to do this course initially, and then we're going to add some more credits because we're going to edit it, right? So if I want to do text to speech here, just as an example, I want it to read this out. It's going to then ask me, what voice do I want? Now, it gives me options for language, it gives me options for people. But remember, it's reading English. So whatever accent you choose, whatever person you choose, it's going to read it out in English. Though that you produce this course in other languages, or if let's say you want to one in English and then produce another one in the same course in another language, it's not going to translate. It's going to generate it in that language. So you need to regenerate so that it's got two versions of the same course, and then obviously get someone with the other language to read the text and make sure they're happy with it, right? Because otherwise it won't work. So I'm just going to choose William because he seems reasonable. He's the Australian in this scenario. Use William generate it, and look, we've got every point along the way. It gives us how much it expects to use. That's not it's a guess. It's not necessarily 100% accurate, but it'll be close. So we're going to convert it. All right, how much time we got? We only got 15 more minutes. All right, we'll do that quickly. Hopefully, it won't take too long. Just know there's also the AI system in the bottom right-hand corner that can generate it for the whole course. So with it, you can just hit generate and it'll generate the whole course. It takes a whole lot longer to do that, and it uses a whole lot more credits when you use text audio as well. That's something to know. Converted. All right, let's read this out. Hopefully, I am sharing with sound, so hopefully everyone can hear this. Let's see.
Why the Hive is being opened and what done looks like. Imagine you are a Certificate 3 beekeeping worker in far north Queensland, arriving
Can everyone hear that?
at an apiary just after sunrise. It is the wet season, the grass is high, and the air feels
Thanks,
heavy.
guys.
You have 3 hives to open.
So yeah, some voices are more robotic than others, but I think you'll find that they do a really good job of pausing at the right moments and, giving you output. Sorry, it does tell me to turn off my mic when I'm sharing my audio, but never mind. Hopefully everyone's good. Now, the other thing you can do in terms of editing, obviously we've shown AI assisted editing, but there's also AI assisted editing in terms of images. I can edit this. Maybe I want to remove, let's see, maybe I want to uh, uh, make the background field a tree orchard. Let's see what it says. Let's see how it goes. Sorry, I like to play with this stuff. Hopefully we get a good output. Every time we do this, obviously it uses credits. Right? It uses credits or it uses image gen tokens. So every time you generate with an image, it uses a token. Tree orchard, that'll do. So yeah, that's just changed. Yeah. Now, the other thing you can add in here, when you add an image in, I'm going to add part of an interactive activity just so that we've got a few things here. I'm going to throw in a hotspot here. So let's say we want to throw in a hotspot, and I'll do that here. It'll ask you for an image. Oh, sorry, I have a question from Mark G. Wondering why you had both audio and text versions of the same thing. Is that for user preference? Yeah. So what you'll generally do in terms of most e-learning files, you will give user preference so that they can listen to the text instead of read it out, especially for the lower socioeconomic. It's a very common practice in instructional design. So yeah, we would definitely do text to audio in most occasions. It's not always, but it is a good tool. If you're not wanting to use the credits for that, but you still want it to be read out, you can just read it out and create an audio file and upload it. Media allows you to create an audio file as well. So you don't necessarily, or a video file. So you can, or sorry, not create, put in an audio file or a video file. So you can absolutely do it yourself if you don't want to use the credits. But yeah, it is a very common practice. All right, so this one here, normally what I generally like to do is show how it could be used. But in this scenario, we've got flip cards directly under it. So we wouldn't do it generally right here. But let's say you've got a list of items and you turn that into a hotspot. Firstly, you can, copy some text in there and put an image. Now, we've got options for adding images. You can generate it via AI. It's a very cool tool. We've got, you can do like photographs, layouts, technicals, conceptual, mathematics, do lots of different image types. And is it square or whatever? And so if I want to do a photograph, you'll notice that it asks us for an image description, right? And you can type in a description and then generate a detailed description from what you've typed, which is really handy. So I want a realistic photograph. The other thing you can do is we've got free image libraries here. We've added in two, Pexels and Unsplash. I like Unsplash better myself. But yeah, I might just go beehive. Let's see. Right. And beehive here. And then there's a little hotspot there. I've wanted to do a hotspot, you can drag those around, put them wherever you want, and then add another one. And you can go into the hotspot itself. This one's got a little icon, is a little plus. You can go into the little icons and use default. There's a bunch of different ones you could use. I'm not going to add it in here, but you get the point. Other interactive activities are step slides, flip cards. Obviously, we've got lots of flip cards in here, so I'm not going to add those, but you can. Video, audio, document viewers. So yeah, lots of stuff in there. You can even, within each section, you can ask it to generate case study scenarios, images, or text to speech using AI as well. Dinesh asks, is it possible to create multi-SCORM combined modules / course into a single course package to upload to an LMS? So are you talking about multiple units, or are you talking about, sorry, I have to clarification on that. You're talking about multiple units like a clustered unit, or are you referring to multi-SCORM as in, you want multiple SCORM modules within the one course? Dinesh. Oh, sorry, I didn't know when you said yes. Apologies, I was still within the question. Are you talking about clustering? Multiple courses into a single SCORM part. No. So no, this isn't designed for that. You're meant to create them individually. Where this will be relevant, what I would suggest you do is add them individually into a course. Or you can create a larger SCORM, like of a whole unit of competency, and split it up. It allows you to do that. You can just duplicate a course and then delete the front part of the course and delete the end part of the course, and you've got two to make up a course. But generally, you wouldn't add two SCORM modules together into one SCORM, because in most LMS systems, you'll want them to be separate instances, separate things. I think the only reason you would want that is if your LMS wasn't capable to have multiple files for the same course. I would recommend using a better LMS. That would be my recommendation there. For a typical unit, sorry, another question. For a typical unit of competency, what is the SCORM file size? That will vary. The last one I did, where I uploaded it, was about 89 meg, I think. 89. Actually, let me check. I just downloaded it before. Oh yeah. Yeah, 74,000 kilobytes. So 74 meg was the one I just did. So yeah, it depends. It'll vary depending on what you're any more questions on any other interactive activities or anything? Is that everyone happy with that? Cool. You can come back if someone does. You'll notice a completion time. It gives you, if I go back, I'm going to go back into my courses page. Save changes if you want to continue. I'm with the things. So I did use the generation credit extra credit card, so know that. That's the one I'm creating now. Why would it do? Okay, so this is I just created before. So you want to see how generation credit is used. 1.834 million generation credits, so just over the tier one. The other thing you can do from that is you can enable the LTIs. So that then makes the course available on your system that's connected. I'll explain that in a minute. You can download SCORM. If you're doing that, there's two options here. For use in eSkilled, we get generally use eSkilled LMS, generally use 1.2, but some of the older systems, you'll notice you'll need to use simple sequencing on 2004, right? Some of the older LMS systems. I generally 1.2. Other thing to note here is you can do things like duplicate, generate preview links. That's what I've been showing you guys before. You can even get preview uptime. So if you're wanting to put a preview course onto your website iframe is a HTML code, so you can just drop it on your website. So yeah, lots there. There's some tutorials, so if you need help, you can go into the tutorial and that'll give you sort of a help guide. Also change your language, your application language, and if you want to change your subscription, you can go to my subscription page and it'll allow you to adjust your subscription as you need to, and it will do pro rata. Hopefully that's all good, guys. Pricing. So if we go to monthly, if you're purchasing a monthly package, you'll notice, so it's a month to month, so you can just cancel whenever you like. The only problem with that is you can only connect by LTI. You can't download SCORM files, right? If you do LTI connection, most LMS systems have some sort of LTI connection, so you can actually, jump into your LMS, connect it to our system, and then it's a real-time update. So whenever anything changes, you can connect via LTI, and then it just updates as you change it, right? If you want to download SCORM files, you want to go annual. A SCORM file is just basically a package file of the course, and it's a very common function. Obviously, you guys are most of you go with SCORM. Those files that allows you to download this course and put it anywhere, right? So if you want to do SCORM, you'll need to annual. I recommend starting with max. You'll notice I already went over the packaging just with one course, right? Of course, the more complicated the course, the more credits you use. Average is about sort of that amount is probably a good average for most courses with AI image gen, right? And videos and everything. It would give about that. Mostly people start with the maximized solution. It gives you extra stuff, a bit more than double the courses. So when we say course limit, that means the amount of courses that can sit on your platform. So if you duplicate a course, you're going to use no generation credits, but you're going to use another course. All right. Yeah. So that's that. We can also customize if you need to go above pro, or you want a very customized solution. Just let us know. We can certainly produce you something there. Now, if you want to stick with a plan, I think the key here is this is a base amount of credits, right? Mostly, this it resets every month. So I do probably two courses a month on this, right? Around about, maybe a bit less or a bit more. But you'll probably want to add generation credit whenever you want to produce, because that's what that does, right? It'll give you extra credits to produce content, right? So yeah, that's pricing. That's in Australian dollars, by the way. So if you're outside of Australia, you can select a different dollar. All right. Now back to presentation. Sorry, before I finish demoing, is there any questions that anyone wants answered before we finish? And I start to show you, a preview trial link. If there is, you can always come back after. All right, let's do this. Oh, these people. So this This is your free trial. Feel free if you want to start your free trial. If you put in capital, maybe I'll type this out so you can see it. Put in capital APR 26, and then M for monthly and A for annual. You'll get a discount. I think it is, the discount is 20% off for 2 months or something. Yeah, it might pop up here somewhere. If you didn't get that QR code, I'll just put that back up. So right, I have another question. Oh yes, sorry, the code. So capital APR, like April, APR 26, and then A for annual or M for monthly. Capital A or capital M. Apologies, guys. That'll give you it's not much, but it is a slight discount there for when you start to pay. You don't need to put your credit card in to trial it. You get 2 weeks free and you can do 2 courses. So feel free to jump in there and do that. We've sort of finished with our time, so hopefully I haven't taken over any extra time for people. If you have any final questions, or obviously there is a lot of AI tools out there that can do certain things for you, but feel free to use different tools and trial this one and see how you like it. I think the key here is that the content comes out a lot nicer with our system, much more tailored to the vet sector. Thanks, Eric. Eric's just giving me a thank you. All right. I'm going to end it. Oh, we got one more question. There's no more questions. No, no more questions. All right, guys. Well, if you have any questions, you can always ask after. Feel free to come back to us, have a trial, give us some feedback. We always love feedback. We're getting lots of really good reviews here. I have 2 clients that have given us case studies to say that they have had an exceptional experience improving the time it takes them to produce content, and it's sort of one of them, it saved their business. So hopefully this can do the same for you guys, and yeah, let us know otherwise. All right, thank you everyone. I'm going to end the session here. See you later.